Hello and welcome, everyone. Very excited to have you here. Many of you submitted questions ahead of time, and I'm going to work super hard to get those answered. And of course, invite additional questions. So I've got the chat box open on another screen. I've got the question and answer box open on another screen. Please submit whatever additional questions you have all the way through, because ultimately this time is about you. It's about you getting the answers you want, the information you want, and we want to make sure we're covering that for you. So yes, I do think we've done a pretty good job of building the core pieces in, and want to make sure we add anything we missed. For those of you that are here, I do want to say this: you're investing your time exploring this, checking us out. So we want to give back to you. And at the end of this presentation, I do have something for you. So we'll get there. That's the good news. All right. In terms of what is planned for this conversation, we will start by defining coaching and the journey to becoming a coach. That is where most of the questions sit in terms of what you all wanted to know. So hopefully we're answering that well for you. We're going to move into then sharing coaching statistics and insights. It gives you a sense of the potential and the possibilities in terms of doing coaching. We're going to walk you through our staircase to success. It's a great analogy to really understand how you build the coaching relationship. And then we'll also give you a diagram of it's very simplistic of what a basic coaching process looks like. And please note, the coaching process is definitely adjusted to the client. So yes, we have our parameters and everything else, and we're very flexible to what works to the people we serve. You'll notice, for example, in training, as you go through, initially we start, okay, these are how we're running the sessions. And then the next time we do it, we change it up, and then we change it up again and again. So it is different for different clients. We'll talk about that. We'll move into the pros and cons of certification, because as much as I want to say it's all pros, I get it. Realistically, yes, there are cons. So we'll address that as well. We'll talk about the reasons people choose certification, particularly at the Center for Coaching Certification. And the reason for that is I get a lot of people that ask that. So I'm going to give you what they say to us as far as that goes. Then we will talk about what to look for in a training program wherever you go, because as much as we want you to come here, we also realize there are important things that can help you. There are literally hundreds and hundreds of choices for you in terms of coach training. And what we really want is for you ultimately to have a program that serves you and supports you in terms of becoming a coach. So there are some things you can look for in particular. We'll talk about the opportunities as a coach. We'll move into reviewing the programs that we offer at the Center for Coaching Certification. So hopefully it's pretty comprehensive and addresses all of that. As I said, feel free to add questions all the way through. All right, so getting started. In terms of the definition, this comes from the International Coaching Federation, and I absolutely love the definition because of the thought that goes into the word choice here in the definition. So specifically, it says coaching is partnering, and that word partnering is very significant. When you think about hiring a professional, whether they're an accountant or a financial planner or a mental health professional or an attorney, when you hire that person, you see them as the expert. And what happens is you put them up on a pedestal. Oh, this is the expert. This is the person who knows and has the answers, kind of thing. Coaching is a very different kind of profession. When you engage a coach, the coach is truly there as your partner. They have the process. And ultimately, a coach holds their client as their own best expert who really does have the answers within. And it's the process of coaching that supports them in discovering their own answers, which in turn truly develops them at an advanced level. It changes the wiring in their brain to support them thinking toward the future, what they want, how to figure things out. So the focus is on solutions and moving forward. It goes on to say, so we've got partnering. Sorry, I got excited about that word. It goes on to say, we partner with our clients in a thought-provoking and creative process, which makes it super fun and interesting. And it says, inspires them to recognize and maximize their own personal and professional potential. So it's super fun. It's a privilege being a coach. Every time you work with a client, it's just a privilege to have that relationship, to be part of their journey, and to partner with them for their own success, which is very fun, very exciting. Okay, so that's our definition. Let's dig into, okay, who is the International Coaching Federation? And that's big. Number one, a lot of you may have found us there. And in addition to that, this is all over the world, the biggest organization over the profession of coaching. So they're a nonprofit organization made up of coaching professionals, and they're the gold standard in terms of being a coach. This is where the code of ethics comes from. Members of the International Coaching Federation are accountable to the code of ethics. If somebody earns a credential, they're accountable to it. This is where our standards come from. So standards in different ways. Number one, they accredit training programs. And that is the single most important thing to look for. When you're going to do coach training, you want to make sure they're accredited by the International Coaching Federation. And they have standards for that. In addition to that, they have standards for membership. They require you to have 60 hours of coach-specific training. Now, I've had people say, okay, I've got a master's in psychology or a doctorate in this, that, or the other thing. And a lot of them are very related, a lot of transferable skills, etc. Coaching is different. So the best analogy I can give in response to some of those questions is this. Imagine for a moment that I'm a dentist, and then I decide that I want to be a heart doctor, a cardiologist. And I say, oh, well, I'm already a doctor. I don't have to go back for more training. I've already done it. I've got the experience. While a dentist will have transferable skills to being a cardiologist, there are very different skills involved. The same is true with coaching as compared to other professions. So you build on what you already have. You learn how the skills you have apply when it comes to coaching, and you can transfer those skills over, and you have to learn the coaching skills specifically. So for those of you with questions on, and I'm just watching the chat box in case anyone has another question, if you have questions on the application of other education to it, hopefully that clarifies that for you as far as ICF requirements. So they require 60 hours for members. Then they also have requirements for credentialing. And I've got those broken out further in this infographic. And this, by the way, is also on the website. So you can see the first step here is that 60 hours of training that we talked about. Then, if you decide you do want to earn a credential, the first level of credentialing is what's called the ACC. That's 60 hours of training. Yes, it's the exact same 60 hours. You don't have to start over or anything else. You've already got it. So it's those 60 hours of training. In addition to that, they require you to log 100 hours of experience coaching clients. So yes, it does mean actually having clients, working with them, coaching with them, etc. They require 10 hours of mentor coaching. The mentor coaching has some very specific parameters around what it has to be. There are people that you can engage for mentor coaching that may not be mentor coaches in terms of what's required for the ICF credential. So you want to make sure you're getting somebody that meets the criteria for what you have to earn a credential. Then you do get assessed on a recording of you coaching a client. Ideally, that happens during the mentor coaching. So to answer those questions right up front, yes, the program we have to earn the ACC credential provides all the training hours, It supports you. There's a lot of things to help you in terms of getting your coaching experience. At the same time, that is something you will have to do independently wherever you go. So know that part of it. It does include all of the mentor coaching, and we do check all the boxes in terms of what the requirements are, et cetera. And we do the assessing for you of your recording, coaching a client. So that saves you time and money in terms of having to go anywhere else for that. In addition to that, during the mentor coaching, we actually do prep for the exam at the tail end of that mentor coaching program. When you complete, in this case, our level 1 program, and meet those requirements, plus you log your 100 hours of coaching, so you have all of those things, then you apply to ICF for the credential, and they'll verify everything here, and then they will invite you to take the exam. And once you pass the exam, that's how you earn the credential. For the PCC credential, it requires 125 hours of training. So it's 60 hours here, plus you have to add another 65 hours. Your coaching experience has to be 500 hours. So it's 100 hours there. You're adding hours to get to the PCC level. The mentor coaching program, it can be the mentor coaching. It's all the parameters are going to be the same. At the Center for Coaching Certification, our mentor coaches all do hold the PCC credential, which means you can use the mentor coaching toward that PCC credential. The key piece to that is you must have 2 recordings of yourself coaching clients, 2 different sessions. It can be the same client as long as it's 2 different sessions. When you complete those pieces, you apply to ICF. They'll invite you to take the exam. It is a different exam at the PCC level than it is at the ACC level. So it's important to note that. And yes, we do the exam prep for that as well. Complete everything there. That's how you earn the PCC credential. Now, an important note for all of you, before you can even consider the MCC credential, you are required to earn your PCC credential first, and you have to hold it for at least 3 years before they let you go after the MCC credential. So that's an important note. To give you an analogy, think about it this way. ICF membership is a lot like saying, okay, I got my 2-year associate's degree. And then the ACC credential is like saying, okay, I got my degree. And then the PCC credential is much like saying, okay, I got my master's degree. So you do progress. And of course, it deepens your learning, elevates your skills, etc. It is a journey. Hopefully that gives you the basics on the requirements for the credentialing process. The other thing I'm going to do is show you here how our programs fit with that. So first off, we have a 30-hour program called the Certified Professional Coach. It is part of programs for those of you who have started researching. You've looked at level 1 and level 2. Level 1 is a program that supports you getting the ACC credential. Level 2 supports you getting the PCC credential. The Certified Professional Coach is the first 30 hours of either one of those programs for the ACC or the PCC. That 30-hour program, sometimes people say, well, how can you offer that by itself? And there are a number of reasons. So first off, we do have a lot of people that are leaders in the workplace, HR professionals, or they're professionals in other fields, and they're not going to be a coach. At the same time, it is well known that as a leader in any capacity, you're truly expected to develop coaching skills and have that in your toolbox, if you will, for whatever work you're doing. So we have a lot of professionals from a lot of different fields that want that core level of coaching, the skills, the competencies, understanding what it is and the ethics, et cetera. So the Certified Professional Coach program is ideal in that case. It's the first 30 hours. Additionally, for those of you that do want to pursue a credential, think about it this way. You have to get experience coaching people. When you put yourself out there to get experience coaching people, you want to have something you could say, yeah, I've done a certification, I've got whatever it is. So here's how this can serve you. You get that initial certified professional coach designation, that first 30 hours, and you're enrolled to continue because you do want to be a coach. If you're enrolled in the next program to complete the hours for ICF membership, what it means you can do specifically when you're enrolled in those two classes is you can join ICF as a member. So here's the really good news. At the end of that first 30-hour program, we do recommend you get out there and start coaching people. You're going to have the process, tools, techniques, etc. And so you can start putting yourself out there and you can say, well, I'm a certified professional coach with the Center for Coaching certification, and I'm a member of ICF. And that way you have some credibility in terms of who you are and what you're offering. And it makes it easier to put yourself out there as a coach and work toward getting those hours of coaching experience. So for whether you're going to be a coach or you're simply doing this for the leadership skills, etc., that initial 30-hour program sets you up because you can use it for the skills. And when you're continuing your training, you'll have a certification for putting yourself out there to start coaching. In addition to the certified professional coach and the certified master coach, which gives you, by the way, 65 hours of training to earn that credential, then you also add the mentor coaching program. For the PCC credential, we have 2 additional classes. And here's a sneak peek at something exciting. For that 4th class, the coaching experience class, we're going to give you an option of a number of different electives. So what happens is in that 3rd class, the certified advanced coach, you start defining your niche. Are you going to be an executive coach, a life coach, a business coach, a wellness coach, a leadership coach, an academic coach, whatever type of coaching you want to do? You're going to start specializing in that certified advanced coach program. And in there doing some work based on where you want to niche yourself. For the coaching experience class, if you want to do electives that are specific to the type of coaching you are doing, we're going to have options for you. So that's a great opportunity to have training designed specifically for the type of coaching you're doing. Yes, the mentor coaching happens there as well. So that's a quick snapshot of how the programs fit with ICF. And by the way, this infographic is on the website, so you can look at it more closely. We can look at that a little bit later if you want to. This particular infographic, which is also on the website, starts differentiating what is done through the Center for Coaching certification, what you're required to do independently, and what happens through the International Coaching Federation. So very specifically, what you're going to see is that's that first 30-hour program that we talked about. You start with that, you move on to the next program for those of you moving toward a credential. When you are enrolled and or have completed those 2 programs, you can apply to ICF for membership. So what we commonly say to people is whether you enroll to become an ACC credential coach, a PCC credential coach, or you just want the initial hours, what we'll say is as soon as you finish that first 30-hour program, get started coaching. If you are going for a credential, you want to join ICF at that point too, as long as you're enrolled to continue your training, because that helps you putting yourself out there and gaining the experience hours. So yes, the experience hours have to be done independently. It has to be you coaching clients for those hours. The mentor coaching is a program that we offer. You sign up for that. During the mentor coaching, we are going to do the assessing of your recording. So yes, of course, you have to coach a client and record it and provide the recording and the transcript so that we can do that assessing for you. As mentioned, we will also do the exam prep. And bottom line, when you apply to ICF for a credential, they verify your training and your coaching experience and your mentor coaching, etc., they will invite you to take that exam. That's something you're doing on your own, of course. And once you complete all of that successfully, that's how you get the ACC credential. If you want the PCC credential, you have 2 choices. Some people will get their ACC credential first and then come back and continue. So they've got their ACC credential, they're logging more experience coaching. They go on and take the next class and complete that. Then the coaching experience class or the electives, as mentioned, in doing that. So they're completing the training hours. Now, here's a choice for you. If you know you're going to do the PCC, you can enroll for the PCC in what's called a level 2 program. If you know you want the ACC credential, you can enroll in a level 1 ACC program. The reason some people will do the ACC credential first and then continue on to the PCC credential, it's pretty simple. Specifically, getting a credential, the ACC takes less time and less money because it's fewer training hours and it's less time that you have to log coaching people. So they'll get the ACC credential and simultaneously continue on to the PCC credential. The reason some people will enroll in a level 2 program to start with is because when you complete those first couple of classes, you have 100 hours and you do the mentor coaching, which is, you can set it up that way. It does mean you can apply for the ACC credential while you're continuing. Enrolling in the complete level 2 cohort at once, what that does for you is give you the cost savings because the programs are bundled. To give you a specific example for that, let me take you here. This is, by the way, all of these infographics are on the same page on the website. We can navigate there if you want to. So here is what this looks like. And the way this infographic is set up is if you know you want the ACC credential, for example, look at this yellow column. This column includes what's required for the ACC credential. If you want the PCC credential, look at this next column. It's in green, and that is what's required for earning the PCC credential. It's got all of the programs. The total for the cohorts is at the bottom. It also shows you the cost savings over doing the classes in what we call an a la carte approach. So the a la carte approach means you're simply signing up for the classes one at a time. That way you can manage your time commitment, you can manage your budget, et cetera. And some people like to do that. So yes, you can sign up for just that first 30 hours and complete that. If you decide to continue, you sign up for the next program, which is 35 hours, and you complete that. Then if you do the mentor coaching, if you do all 3 of those, then we can issue that level 1 certificate. The advantage of a la carte is spreading them out. So you're spreading out in terms of time and investment. The advantage of doing the cohort is for a lot of people, once they get started, it's actually easier to keep going. And they really like the idea of having people that they work with all the way through. So that can be an advantage, whether you're talking level 1 or level 2. If you do the level 1 and then decide, yes, I want to continue, you can come back and take the next class. And then the next one, either take that or take the electives. And I can meet with you individually to talk about those options for you. So that's all available to you. Hopefully what we're doing with this approach is, number 1, making it easier for you in terms of your time and your investment in becoming a coach and giving you options, either in terms of committing to a full cohort or doing it one program at a time. And it also helps manage the budget. So hoping that that's clear and simple. Please, any comments or questions in the chat box would be fabulous. I want to make sure I'm covering this in a way that works for everybody that's here. And I'm watching for that. And in the meantime, I'm also going to keep going. So we have lots more to talk about. PricewaterhouseCoopers cited coaching as the world's 2nd fastest growing sector. That's super exciting. Of course, IT is first. I'm sure you could have guessed that, especially with AI and everything else going. So coaching is the 2nd fastest growing profession. Forbes magazine put this out, and I think it's such a great quote. It said, "Do you have a coach? If not, you could be limiting your career success. And here's what's fascinating. It's backed up by the research. Here's an example. Amoco did a study. The British Petroleum owns them now. So it was when they were still Amoco. And they evaluated coaching over a 10-year period of time. I love the longevity of that study. We don't see that often enough. And here's what they found. Compared to other Amoco managers, the ones that had a coach demonstrated improved performance, increased ratings of potential for advancement, and 50% higher average salary increases. That's so significant, 50% higher. And keep in mind that when you get a salary increase, they look at what your salary is now, and the increase is based on that. So a higher salary increase this year means your increase next year is even more because you're starting from a higher level. And the people that had the coach in this study attributed their success, their results, to the coaching. They said, yeah, that's what made the difference for them. That's incredibly significant, both in terms of understanding the value of coaching, and think about how exciting that is for us as coaches, that we get to have that kind of impact in terms of supporting others. So it's phenomenal. Dennison Consulting cites coaching as the tool of choice for leaders and emerging leaders. We see that a lot. Different organizations that engage our graduates to do coaching, a lot of times it's because they're developing leaders and future leaders. It can be part of their high potential development programs or leadership development programs, their succession planning. So we see it a lot, definitely an important part. So when companies do hire coaches, what's their reason? What's behind that? So Harvard Business Review did this study, and here's what they found. 48% of the time, it's exactly that. Develop their high potentials, facilitate transitions. That's the reason the companies invest in a coach. 26% of the time, it's to act as a sounding board. Now, where do we see that? Most commonly, that is with the C-suite, your highest level executives, because ultimately, the high-level executives, they know how to set a goal. They know how to determine what actions have to happen, etc. What coaching does for them is give them a space to think out loud, to consider different perspectives, explore different possibilities, and it really supports them thinking in terms of what the potential is, what the opportunities are, what the potential barriers are, and then developing strategies in terms of how they want to move forward. Now, 12% of the time, coaching is used to address a derailing behavior. Interestingly enough, years ago, people thought, oh, if you have a coach, it's because something's wrong. Actually, no. If you have a coach, it means the company's investing in you. They want you to be successful. A lot of places like High Potentials will literally negotiate coaching as part of their package. They want to know that the company is going to provide coaching for them because they know that's how they're going to continue to develop themselves and their leadership capabilities. When we talk about addressing a derailing behavior, that's when the organization has someone and they say, okay, this person has the skill, the ability, the capability to be really successful here. Something's getting in the way. A coach can help them address that so that they can be successful in the organization. So that's what you see. Now, an interesting discovery came out of this research. Makes a lot of sense to those of us in the coaching space. It sometimes surprises people that are new to it. And that is that 76% of the time, personal issues get addressed. My guess is it's growing higher and higher every day as we become more comfortable with, yeah, we all have personal things. And here's what that tells us. If I have something going on in my life, financial challenges, relationship challenges, health challenges, whatever it is, that goes to work with me. And it can distract me and keep me from being effective as possible on the job. If I have a coach and I can work that out and figure out, okay, here's what I'm doing with that. Here's what I can do to address those things. It means that when I'm at work, I can focus at work and be more effective. So it totally makes sense that personal issues get addressed as well. When it comes to individuals engaging with a coach, now sometimes the organization is paying for the coach, and sometimes people are paying for a coach for themselves. What motivates that individual to engage with a coach, whether because the company provides it or because they're investing in it? And the research tells us these things. Yes, establishing and achieving goals. It's kind of the obvious no-brainer on that one. I think the others get more interesting. They want to increase their own self-awareness in terms of who they are, their values, what fits for them. They want to develop confidence. Occasionally, I get somebody surprised by that. And the reality is this: for most of us, our biggest barrier to success is ourselves and our confidence in believing that we can do it, our abilities, etc. So that's a big factor. And coaching absolutely makes a difference. Improving communication skills, enhancing emotional intelligence, creating that healthy work-life schedule is a big one. It's funny. Sometimes we talk about work-life balance. People say, no, it's not balanced. We spend more time at work. So that work-life schedule, that's healthy. Advancing their career, leadership development, problem-solving skills, decision-making. Coaching is huge, and elevating people's abilities in those regards. And then, of course, increasing resilience and adaptability. So these are all motivators for individuals. Now, Fortune magazine, and I know this is a very US-centric quote, and I get it. We have graduates from 44 countries. So yes, coaching is all over the globe, and this particular quote is very US-centric. In the United States, there tends to be a very bottom line focus. Hey, we want to see this on the bottom line. That's where this quote comes from. Business coaching works. And the average return on what is invested in coaching, the cost, is 600%. That's phenomenal. There is very little out there that we can invest in that provides a 600% return on the investment. And coaching does that for businesses and organizations, which explains the reason they're investing more and more in coaching. So, couple of statistics, different sources, and there's so much more out there. It's fascinating to read the research on this. So a commonly cited piece of research was done by Metrics Global. And they said, okay, coaching alone, 529% ROI, plus when you add the financial benefits from retaining top talent, your employee retention, the ROI jumps to 788%. That's phenomenal. That's a huge return on the investment companies put into coaching. So it makes sense. Another study looked at productivity specifically. And they said, okay, training, which is well-known, common go-to in terms of organizations and onboarding and developing people, et cetera. It increases productivity 22.4%. That's pretty exciting. Then when you add coaching with that training, the productivity gain jumps to 88%. That's phenomenal. Now, this study was done at Public Personnel Management. So 4 times the impact simply by adding coaching. What does that tell us? In an organization, it simply doesn't make sense to do training without coaching. We lose too much. When you add the coaching, that gain is phenomenal. A different study looked at this. It was done by Xerox, and it just backs up what you're hearing here. If you do training without follow-up coaching, then 87% of the skills change that you gained through the training ends up being lost. Because what happens is people go to the training, they go, this is exciting, they're motivated, they go back to work, and then they start falling back into habits and routines and patterns that were there before, and they lose most of what they gained from the training. Coaching makes the difference because it supports them on an ongoing basis. And what's really nice to know for organizations is You can do group coaching, you can do team coaching to make it more cost effective. Sometimes you combine that, one group session and one individual session each month or something like that. So there are a lot of options to make that work for the people on your team. Okay. When somebody decides who to hire, and this is a question a lot of you who want to be a coach really care about, you're saying, okay, how do I get them to pick me? There's a lot of coaches out there, right? Here's their top 2 considerations. Do you have experience in a similar setting? In other words, the CEO of a Fortune 100 company is not going to hire a recent high school graduate to be their coach. They want to hire someone that they know understands their world. It doesn't mean you have to have been the CEO. It means they want to know you've been in that space, whether in an HR capacity, C-suite capacity, that kind of thing. They want to know you understand their world. So experience in a similar setting. Now, sometimes we have people looking at coach training. They say, okay, are you going to teach me that? Give me that. A class is not going to give you experience at that level. They really want to know you've been out there and worked in that space. So what you do get from coach training is the second thing they're looking for, the clear methodology. The experience you have. You bring that to the table. The methodology for the coaching, that's something you want to gain from your coach training. Some programs provide that, some don't. So it's really important to know, okay, we're going to get there. I'm going to know what to do and how to do it, which is pretty simplistic and very important. So that's what they're looking for. Now, in terms of building an actual coaching relationship, and you want to learn that, this is only part of the methodology. The process is part of it too. So building the coaching relationship, we're going to compare doing that to building a staircase. So if you're going to build a staircase, the first thing you do is you put your framework in place. If you're going to build a coaching relationship, you also want to put your framework in place. What is the framework in a coaching engagement? Well, it's pretty similar to what it is in any other profession. You start with a profession-specific training, learning, education, whichever word you want to use. So you start with that training. During that training, what you're also doing is developing specific competencies pertinent to the role or the work you'll do and the ethics. It's very interesting to me. So most people, by the way, that come to coach training come from a place of being very ethical and believing in ethics. And what's important to note is that there are nuances in the ethics for coaching that are unique and different. It is extremely important to understand coaching ethics and how they work and what it means in different situations and scenarios. So you develop all of that with your training. Now you're ready to start building the relationship, just like you're ready to start building steps on the staircase. So the first step for a coaching relationship is an agreement. This happens in phases. You start with having an initial conversation with somebody. What is coaching? What isn't coaching? How does it work? What does it look like? And so you get that sense of agreement between it. Then your next phase is a formal agreement for the coaching relationship itself. And there are specific parameters around that. And you want a coaching program that helps you with that. So yes, that's there for you. The next part of the agreement happens every single time you have a coaching session. So you're starting that session by clarifying what the client wants to gain from the session, what they want to talk about to gain that from the session. So you have that agreement in place. Your job as coach, partnering with the client for that, is asking them the questions so they define it. When you have your agreement in place, your next step is understanding. It is the coach's responsibility to understand the client. Who are they? How do they think? How do they process? How do they function? You want to understand their context, their culture, because it influences the way they think, etc. You want to understand what they want as well when you set that up in the agreement. When you have that understanding in the place, you as coach take time to build your framework, to have the agreement, and to really understand your client. you're truly supporting the step of rapport. Rapport is the number one indicator of success in a coaching relationship. Specifically, it means the client knows they really can trust you, that they can open up, they can be vulnerable, and you will support them and help them move forward. That rapport, absolutely key. And it's funny, we talk about, well, people choose a coach because of their experience in a similar setting and their methodology. Number one indicator is actually rapport. With rapport in place, you're supporting communication. It means you're in a place where the coach is really listening to the client, what they're saying and what they're not saying, their intended meaning from their context and culture, from their perspective. You're truly hearing them, their energy behind it, etc. Additionally, communication means how you say what you say, because it makes a difference in that interaction. And of course, it includes your questions. Coaching questions are completely different than any other type of question out there. It is absolutely essential that you have a program that truly teaches you how to create your own questions. So yeah, for example, we'll provide you tons of questions, questionnaires, etc. And ultimately, you really want to get what it takes to formulate your own questions, because when you're in a coaching conversation with the client, the questions come out of that conversation. So how to formulate them is very important. So you learn that. That in turn supports the next step, which is exploration. The client is exploring. Yes, what do they want? They're exploring what their possibilities are, what their opportunities are. They're exploring the potential barriers. They're considering resources available to them, working through all of that. And ultimately, what's going to happen is they're developing their strategy for how they're going to move forward. And what they're moving forward to is what we call the doorway to success. That success is defined by the client, because success for each person is something different. So it's their success that you're supporting. So this hopefully gave you an insight in terms of the relationship itself. Now let's talk about what the process looks like. As I mentioned at the beginning, this is a very simplistic diagram. And please keep in mind that every coaching client, you flex to what's going to work for them, what will serve them best. So there's a lot of room to play with this. As a normal best practice, we do that introductory session, 20, 30 minutes. You get to know the client. They get a sense of you as coach. They get a taste of what the coaching is like, so that you can both make a decision. Hey, is this a good partnership? Because as coach, we are responsible to make sure we're an effective fit for that individual client. And of course, they're choosing based on their comfort level, et cetera. So we do want to make sure that that relationship, that connection is going to work. Now, once we say, okay, yes, this works, it's going to support the client effectively and help them move forward, then the next thing we want is an intake process. So in the program, we're going to work with you for the intake process. We start with what we call an opening session, and then working with the client on how they're going to stay focused on what they want. Yes, it's their own goals, and truly engage in moving forward. Realistically, think about it. So many people have goals that get lost or buried along the way because there's too much else going on. So this is how are they going to stay focused and engaged with moving toward what they really want. And it's okay if they change their mind on what they want. The key to it is we're supporting them moving toward whatever it is. Once you've done your intake on an ongoing basis, the client is going to prioritize what they want to work on, their focus. They are the ones who are responsible for developing their strategy and their action plan. As their partner, the coach's job is the process, so the partnering with them so that they do move forward in that direction. And of course, as you're going, it's really important to notice progress along the way, successes along the way, because it serves to motivate the client to keep going. according to the research, ICF, by the way, the average coaching relationship is going to last 12 months. That means, yes, some relationships are a few sessions, some are a few years, etc. On average, 12 months. When you're working with a client, at whatever point they're saying, okay, they're complete with this coaching engagement, whether, okay, that's all the sessions the company gave them or the budget allows, or they achieved what they wanted to achieve through the coaching, whatever it is. It's really important that as you're wrapping up the engagement, you're looking at setting the client up for the long term. How will they maintain their progress and success after coaching and continue to build on it? And we have what we call a closing session. And while we call it a closing session, please keep in mind the door is truly open. Clients come back, sometimes months later, sometimes years later. So what are we doing in a closing session? Reviewing what they have gained from this coaching engagement and how they're moving forward afterwards, and letting them know the door's open. So that's a very, very simplistic, basic diagram of coaching process. And yeah, there are many variations. There's a lot of flexibility to that as you support your client. And you'll learn more about that when you're in a really good training program. Okay, now let's talk certification. As I mentioned before, pros and cons. What are they? First off, let's start with this. The overwhelming majority of coaches agree clients expect coaches to be certified or credentialed. What's fascinating to me about this is that's new. It used to be, I think a lot of clients just assume that if you call yourself a coach, you're qualified. And what they started finding out is there are a lot of people that call themselves a coach that haven't done coach training. They don't know the competencies, or not accountable to a code of ethics, etc. And then what's happening is they're not really coaching. They're more consulting or advising or mentoring or counseling or those kinds of things. So yes, it is important to have that credential, because what you'll find is clients start asking for it. Another piece of data is showing the growth of this. So in 2022, 85% said they had a certification. That was up from 74% in 2019 and 69% in 2015. So the growth continues. Hoping they bring this back and do this again so we can get the more current number. My guess is it's going to be even higher as far as that goes. So yeah, there's a lot of coaches that are going, yeah, got to do this, got to make this happen. All right. Now, in terms of more research on this, 85% of coaches have a certification according to Entrepreneurs Headquarters, and 99% of their clients are satisfied with the coaching experience. So that tells us something too. So let's really break it down. As much as I want to say it's all pros, I get it. There's two big cons. And consider this, I challenge you to think about it. When you're considering coach training, these are the two biggest barriers for you: time and money. If it weren't for the time involved and it weren't for the money involved, everybody would do coach training. It becomes almost a no-brainer because the skills are applicable to everything you do in life, whether or not you're a coach. And of course, for those who want to do coaching as a profession, it's a no-brainer. So yes, time and money. Now, on the pro side of co-training, it's definitely a career advancement tool. If you're in leadership, you're expected to develop these skills. There are a lot of roles: HR, talent development, organizational development, etc., that request or even require coaching skills. And even professionals, for example, we've seen attorneys, financial planners, mental health professionals, people from all walks of life recognize the value of coaching in terms of elevating their interactions with the clients they serve. It definitely supports career advancement, being more effective in any career you're doing. In terms of business development, if you're going into this to be a coach, again, it becomes a no-brainer. You want to have some credibility. You will also want to know you're doing what you're doing in a way that really makes a difference and serves people well. So on the pro side, definitely. As far as the accreditations go, and I'm guessing they'll update that again this year, this gives you an idea. There's a lot of programs out there, 940 of them that can help you get the ACC credential, 684 that help you get the PCC credential. Oh my gosh, you can spend years researching different coach training programs. Absolutely insane how many there are. And that makes it a huge challenge. We get that. So yes, there's a lot of programs out there that serve you toward level 1, level 2, level 3 is the master coach, the MCC level. So let's look at, how do you even choose? Here's what people tell us was behind their thinking in choosing the Center for Coaching certification. Number one, the credibility factor. So that, I'll give you examples specifically. They're looking at the accreditation. That's important to people. They also look at things like longevity, online testimonials, etc. The coaching tools that come along with the program. So some programs provide coaching tools that you're going to use every time or all the time or regularly, whatever it is. And some programs don't. They let you go out and find those on your own after the fact. So knowing that you have access to those. Ongoing support. Specifically at the Center for Coaching Certification, we don't look at it and say, oh, you're done, you graduated, goodbye, good luck. We say, okay, how can we help you now use the training you've done? So we have support in terms of doing it as a business, in terms of being a coach in an organization, in terms of applying your skills. And that's ongoing. So that's available to you. It's a professional development opportunity, specifically if you're required by some other professional designation you have, whether you're an attorney, a financial planner, a mental health professional, an HR person, a talent development, whatever it is. When you have a designation, you're required to do continuing education. Because of our ICF accreditation, and we also have an ISET accreditation, the hours you invest in learning coaching are actually usable to maintain your other professional designations. So that's a huge value, bang for your buck, if you will. Personal development side, phenomenal. The program itself, yes, you're developing as a coach, and the experience going through it, you develop so much as an individual too, and it's phenomenal. One of the many, many tools that we're going to give you, this is a total standout, is when you complete certification with us, you are going to have your very own place on the internet where you can give assessments, and there's dozens of different assessments. Sometimes people say, well, don't I have to get certified in that assessment? We're going to say, no, you don't, because you're simply providing the link for somebody else to take it and then going through that report with them. So lots of different assessments available to you, and they're available at wholesale, which is incredible bang for the buck. I mean, whether in an organization or in your business, being able to give those assessments at wholesale is a super, super bonus in terms of what you gain. All right. In terms of the quality of the training, the credibility that we talked about, what do you look for? The single most important thing is these two logos. Look for level 1 if you want the ACC logo, level 2 for the PCC logo, and even better, look for both, where they provide both level 1 and level 2 training to support you earning a credential with the International Coaching Federation. So that's huge, number one. Another big bonus, and I don't know of other coach training schools that have this, we are accredited by, it's called ICF, the International Accreditors for Continuing Education and Training. What that tells you, they don't look at the specific content. In other words, that accreditation is across all different professions, types of training. What they look at is how a program is, first off, hey, what's the needs assessment on this? And then how is it designed? How is it delivered? How are you consistently upgrading and improving the program, etc.? So that ISET accreditation is really, really valuable, because that's where most professions will take the hours as continuing ed because of that accreditation. A lot of universities accept the credit hours because of that accreditation. So that's incredibly valuable. These 3 logos, by the way, are right on our website. When you go to a company's website, you want to make sure you're seeing at a minimum the ICF logos. And then, of course, the other one is just total bonus and extra. Another thing that's worth knowing is who's in the class. At the Center for Coaching Certification, yes, we see professionals from the Association for Talent Development, the Society for Human Resource Management, the Human Resource Certification Institute, Financial Planners Association, National Small Business Administration, the Association of Image Consultants International, the International Coaching Federation, ISAT, because people that are part of ISAT get what that accreditation means. I mean, it's intense, ANSI standards, etc. We see mental health professionals, consultants, project managers, people that have a passion for empowering others. That's who's in the program. And what that tells you is that when you're in one of our programs, you're going to be engaged with colleagues who are educated, who are experienced, and who really care about what this content is. That means classroom discussions are so much richer. Everybody brings something to the table, and it's incredibly valuable. Okay. The program itself, and there are a lot of programs out there, as you saw, you really want to be sure it's going to help you develop these competencies, because there's a difference between, okay, we're going to talk philosophy, we're going to talk, a lot of fancy words and marketing and that kind of thing. Does it really help you be competent in these areas as a coach? And that's something we're super intentional about. So very specifically, ICF has 8 competencies organized in 4 areas. The foundation area includes demonstrates ethical practice. So that means you've really gone through the code of ethics, studied it, learned it, know how to apply it. And then embodies a coaching mindset, understanding the difference between being a coach, being a mentor, being a counselor or therapist, or some other professional, because coaching is different and there's a mindset that's different. And that's important. Then we have co-creating the relationship, establishing and maintaining the agreement with your client, cultivating trust and safety. We talked about rapport being the number 1 indicator of success. So really cultivating that safe space and clients earning their trust, them knowing they can be open and vulnerable with you. And then, of course, maintains presence. It sounds simple. Oh, well, yeah, I'm here. And think about it. We all get distracted. We have other things running around in our head. Really being there with the client. We got to let go of everything else and be there with them. Communicating effectively, listens actively. Here's an irony. Most people say, yeah, I'm a pretty good listener. And when you ask, most people say, yeah, others don't listen so well. So there's a big difference or gap there. And then evoking awareness. That's where your powerful coaching questions come in. And facilitating client growth, truly supporting them as they maximize their own potential. Be sure you're developing these competencies. Now, who benefits from coaching certification? Leaders, trainers, educators, consultants, managers, human resource professionals, project managers, service providers, business owners. I like to say I'm a better mom, I'm a better grandmother, I'm a better friend and family member because of learning coaching. It truly has value on a personal level and a professional level. Gallup said, this is on the professional side, 86% of employees think their bosses are uninspiring. Can you guess what employee engagement and productivity is like? Probably not so good. Harvard Business Review said coaching is integral to the fabric of a learning culture, and it's a skill that good managers at all levels need to develop and deploy. That's how you truly develop yourself as a leader. In terms of the skill development and what it does for us, it takes your communication skills next level in terms of listening, the clear, direct, respectful, assertive language, and then questioning and how to ask questions that truly support moving forward. People skills, recognizing different personal styles, knowing how to flex to different people. And then goal setting. This one's fascinating to me. The way a goal is defined makes a difference in terms of people achieving it. So the process for that, that's really effective. In terms of a business opportunity, let's break it down. So first off, the range in terms of cost, and I'm giving you US dollars. In most countries, you can simply translate that. If it doesn't quite translate, a way to think about it is consider the $100 an hour. What do you pay a therapist or a counselor in your country? And it's probably equivalent because here in the United States, that's a starting point. On the high end of that, that's your super high level consultant, if you will, in whatever other country you're in. So that's a range of hourly costs. The median cost is $500 an hour, and the average is $244 an hour. So you can look at that. It is projected that by 2027, there will be 125.1 billion US dollars invested in coaching. That's phenomenal. As of December, ICF had 59,646 member coaches. Of those, 29,115 had the ACC credential, 26,789 had the PCC credential, 2,763 of us. You see the difference in the numbers there? Wow. So ACC and PCC credential, vast majority. Fewer than 3,000 of us at the MCC level. And then a new credential available is the advanced certification in team coaching. You do have to have one of the other credentials before you can pursue it. So in terms of business opportunities, whether it's an add-on service, if you do, for example, training or consulting, we see a lot of those professionals also provide coaching services, or you're simply doing a part-time or full-time business as a coach. Of course, it's a huge opportunity. So the programs themselves, first off, the certified professional coach, that first 30-hour program. The classes include about coaching, talking about what it is and isn't, clearing up some of those common misunderstandings, and digging into the competencies. Then you move into ethics and knowing what they're telling you and what does that mean? Hey, if this happens or that happens, and talking about different scenarios. It's actually fun. Understanding your client. Fabulous class, giving you a tool to really support you recognizing, okay, who is this person? What's going on for them right now? And how do I flex to them based on that? And then we take communication to the next level with specific techniques in terms of your listening, specific guidance in terms of language and how you say what you say, and how to formulate those powerful coaching questions. The class on focus and motivation adds further dimension, specifically different learning styles and how that plays out with the way people function and how you can flex with that. Additionally, you're looking at how people say things and what the implications are behind that, what it means when to explore further, and the way people think, because their thinking, what they're focused on, also makes a difference. And it helps you recognize, okay, here's what's going on. Here's how I can best partner with them in terms of the questioning. With each of these classes, you do have a homework assignment. The first couple classes will be additional research reading. The next 3 classes, you're practicing the techniques you're given in class and then writing about the impact of using those techniques. Then there's a group session. That's totally open. It's Q&A. It's what do you want to talk about? What do you want to hear about? There's a lot of freedom in that. And so the class varies depending on every class you have. Then there's a practicum. So coaching practicum is where you're really practicing coaching. You will be partnered with others in the program. You'll have someone that you're going to coach, someone that's going to coach you, and someone that you're going to observe coaching. At the end of the coaching practicum, there's a case study. Now, we do walk through that case study with you, every single question on there. helping you. Okay, here's where the information is and the program materials talking about it, etc. When you complete this segment of the program, start taking advantage of that Q&A call. If you're doing this as a business, there are recordings on the business of coaching and marketing yourself as a coach, as well as a number of other tools there for you. And there's recorded coaching sessions, so you can keep going back and learning more above and beyond what you do in the program. The next class, the Certified Professional Coach Program, starts with a class on group and team coaching. The reason that's the first class is because we're going to start doing it. So that'll be part of the practicum too. Then we're taking a deeper dive into each of the areas of competency and what you do want to do and actually what you don't want to do as a coach. So ethics and agreements, the coaching process itself, people in communication, and creating change with confidence. The time and money class, just like time and money are considerations with coach training, most decisions people make involve time and money considerations, whether or not we're actually openly addressing that. So that awareness, and the awareness, there are a lot of influencing factors. That's a couple of them. In this class, your homework's in half. You do half before class, half after class. So we give you specific questions to help you think about, okay, here's what I know now. You do the class, okay. And now responding to questions in terms of what you've gained from that. The coaching practicum will look different. The process is going to be different as we indicated. So first off, it will include group coaching. So everybody in the program will have a chance to be a group coach. And for the other groups, you'll be participating as someone in the group. So you experience a lot of different approaches to the group coaching. You also have the individual coaching. It's set up differently. You'll be involved in interviewing prospective coaches and choosing who you want from the people in class. So somebody will be actually 3 people will be interviewing you as well. And somebody will be choosing you. So that even the setup on the start of it is different. And then the format of the sessions themselves will be different. There's a final debrief at the end. And then your final is a report where you're writing about a coaching engagement and basically what you did, the techniques and tools you use, and what happened as a result. The Certified Advanced Coach class starts with a class on coach competencies and then strength areas. So strength areas is where you're starting to notice, okay, in terms of niching, hey, if I'm choosing, I want to go into academic, business, wellness, whatever area you're going into, you're really going to dive into that. And it's pretty cool in terms of a tool that you're going to use as part of your homework for that class. Then there are differences, nuances, depending on the coaching that you're doing in terms of engaging your client and understanding them, because engaging an executive client versus engaging a life coaching client, it's different. And the understanding is different. So you talk about that, the coaching relationship itself. So while we have our competencies are applicable across the board, how they come out in different types of coaching relationships does vary. You're also looking at a variety of tools in terms of supporting clients prioritizing their management of their goals and different to-do items. You're looking at setting them up for success in the future and how you're doing that. And then challenges and trends for you as a coach. In this class, ahead of classes, you're given reading materials to go through. And then after class, you have questions that you're doing. The coaching practicum, again, will include the group coaching and the individual coaching. The format of the sessions will be different. You have a debrief at the end and a final report. For the coaching experience class, you can take this class. People like this because it's totally about practice, practice, practice. This is not about the homework. This is about practicing coaching with other coaches. So you're going to review the competencies, how they get evaluated. You're going to look at specific competencies for team coaching. Then you're going to have your group sessions, your individual sessions, again, formatted differently, and a debrief webinar. For the mentor coaching. Oh, by the way, and for the electives, you got to I'll give you how you can talk with me individually and talk about some of the different electives that are available based on your areas of interest. For the mentor coaching, it's the 5 90-minute group sessions and the 3 individual sessions. So the group sessions, you're talking about the competencies, how they're evaluated, specific behaviors that demonstrate the competency. Then in the individual sessions, your number one priority is recording that passes for whichever credential level you want. There's also a 360. This is proprietary for us, where you're evaluating yourself based on the competencies, and you have 3 to 6 clients evaluate you. So that's a really nice to have bonus in that mentor coaching. Totally about supporting you moving toward whatever credential you're going after. With every single program that we do, the resources that are included are class materials, everything for class. And that goes from the materials you go over to the reading and everything else involved. So there's a lot there. We also give you a login page. So when you complete the program, you get even more resources on the login page that are intended to help you as you're moving forward. The assessment dashboard, where you can give different assessments where it makes sense with clients. Plus, we work really hard to support you in terms of your opportunities to coach and to get out in front of new audiences. So specifically, you're welcome. We love guest bloggers. You can guest present. We do LinkedIn live sessions, etc. You can get published. We put out a book series with chapters written by graduates. You can be a guest on our podcast. We also have an online searchable directory called Find a Certified Coach. And this is for people who want to get found by individuals. And then we're also a coaching provider. So we contract with organizations to provide coaches, and our graduates can be part of that. So if you want to be available to coach people in different organizations, you can sign up. And that's just a great opportunity to get coaching clients. In terms of your next steps. So first off, I promised at the beginning, something at the end. And, if you want to use it as a coaching session, if you want to talk about elective options, if you want to talk about, hey, this is my situation, what makes sense for me? Where do I want to go? What do I do, etc. So that's a one-on-one conversation with me. The way you can access that is when this is over, I'm going to put the recording on YouTube. I'm then going to email a link to that to everybody who registered today. When you get that email, you can just reply to it. It'll come back to me and say, hey, I'm interested in that 30-minute session, and I'll send you a link to my calendar, and you can choose the time that works for you. The application itself, filling it out, is free. It's really nice because here's the requirements, prerequisites. Okay, no problem, got that covered. And then you're telling us about you, which is a really nice way to think on paper. Your interest in coaching and about your professional background and experience. We want to get to know you. If you're going to be in one of our classes, getting to know you is extremely important to us. That part of it is free. When you want a class and you look at class schedules, etc., the way to hold a place in that class is the registration payment. So very, very important to take those steps to have a spot in a program that you want as far as that goes. Yes. Okay. So what I'm going to do is wrap up here, and then yes, we can go look at the website together. And the intention of looking at that website together is so that I can help you navigate and find things on the website. So I'm going to set that up. And the way I'll do it is I will close out this presentation. So I'll stop the screen share, and then I'll bring up the website so we can go there. So I'm really glad you asked that. I do want to say thank you to everyone for being here. Definitely appreciate your time and participation. Feel free to reach out, whatever questions you have. If you want to take advantage of the 30 minutes, just let me know and we'll make that happen. So I'm going to stop share here. And then what I'm going to do is start share and bring up the website so that we can go take a look at this and navigate to the different pieces. So homepage is pretty obvious. So the first thing I'll share with you, the infographics we started with at the beginning of the presentation. If you look at this picture, there's a green button on the picture. It says how to become a coach. It's right here. So I'm going to click on how to become a coach. And when I go to this page, in addition to having the infographics for me, it actually has written explanation of these infographics, overview of pieces. So you can look at it, learn more, come back and study these. And the table is right here showing you the cohort packages plus the a la carte approach, price points, etc. It's all here. And the requirements for the different credentials. So everything's available to you. In terms of the programs themselves, if you know you want a cohort for the ACC or the PCC, if you put your cursor over coach training, then you put it over level 1, level 2 credentialing cohorts. There's an overview of level 1 for the ACC, an overview of level 2 for the PCC. There's schedules for level 1 and level 2. There is also an overview of each individual segment of the program so that you can see specifically, here's the overview of the program in a simple agenda, if you will, and the learning outcomes are there as well. For the additional coach education, you can look at the schedules for individual classes and some of the others. There's a few here available to you. ADHD, for those specializing in that, it's actually a different school and we partner with them. There's a program in our LMS on cultural humility. And then for those who, okay, I can't even do the 30 hours, I really just want the basics. It's called Coaching Skills for Professionals and Leaders, and that's available in it. Online, self-directed, self-paced learning opportunity. The application and purchase page are here. On the resources tab, FAQs, so you can look at commonly submitted questions. You can submit your own. Plus, there's a little quiz there. You can see it from any of the main pages too on, hey, is coach training right for me? The assessment dashboard, you can look at how it works. The dashboard itself, you won't be able to log in. You can just see that it's there. So the how it works gives you a little bit of information on that. Access the monthly webinars, all different kinds of programs. There's recommended reading available to you. Learn more about the organization. And you can even look at this page about our team and see bios for all of the different trainers. So when you're looking at a class, oh, okay, here's the trainer for the class I'm looking at, and you can get to know them too. Testimonials are available to you. Our podcast is here. So lots of options. And then this goes into actually accessing services for coaching programs if you want to coach or tailored training for internal programs. Definitely feel free to reach out and contact us here. Explore on the home page. Lots of great information here so you can check it out, scroll through. Oh, I'm on the how to become a coach page. I was going to say lots of good stuff on the homepage as well. So do visit, do check it out, poke around. And then of course, feel free to reach out. We want to be available to you. The whole objective here is support you being effective and successful and happy as a coach in doing something that really makes a difference for people and for yourself. So it's about enjoying it. I think I've covered everything I've seen in terms of chats and questions. If I miss something, because some of it does scroll by pretty fast, please feel free to let me know. I'm happy to address that as well. I do appreciate your time and your interest and very much look forward to welcoming you to the community here at the Center for Coaching Certification. So thank you all. And yeah, do take care. Make it a great one.